Hi friends, today on Spuds and Scones we're making a delicious cold weather recipe, which is Guinness brown bread. So take your drink of choice, whether it be tea or coffee, or perhaps Guinness. Sit back and relax and let's get started on this wonderful recipe. So we've got 2.5 cups of whole wheat flour here. Just give that a whisk to loosen it up here. Whole wheat flour is delicious for this recipe. It's going to add a wonderful nuttiness. It's going to go perfect with our dark brown sugar we're going to add and Guinness. We've got 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. We'll add great flavor, and the baking powder and baking soda will add the leavening agent that we want. Excellent. All right, we've got 1/2 cup of dark brown sugar here, just lightly packed. That adds a very rich molasses flavor. If you only have light brown sugar on hand, that's totally fine, but dark brown sugar adds that extra bit of molasses that's delicious with the darkness of the Guinness. And lastly, we've got some quick oats here. So we've got 1 cup of quick oats. The reason why we want to use quick oats versus like a steel cut or an old fashioned, that's just in the texture. So the quick oats will allow kind of the batter to all smoothly mix together. Steel cut I find is best just having for breakfast, and old fashioned is just a little bit too coarse for our recipe here. So quick oats will be perfect. I'm just going to use, as I say in pretty much all of our videos, your best utensils in the kitchen are your hands. Excellent. The brown sugar will get nice and incorporated. Make sure there's no lumps. Excellent. All right, our dry ingredients are looking great. Onto our wet ingredients. So we've got 5 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter here. Because we've got that kosher salt, I'm just going to always use unsalted butter. I always use unsalted in all baking recipes. That way you can control the salt content of your recipe. Since we've got that in our dry ingredients, we are set to go. 5 tablespoons of melted butter and a cup of buttermilk. We want to make sure we shake it so it's nice and thick here. Now this is whole milk buttermilk. If you can't find that, low fat will be fine. I just like the extra richness that whole milk buttermilk adds to it. Got this at Target, so I think you could get it anywhere. But there you go. And the piece de resistance is 1.5 cups of Guinness that is at room temperature. Room temperature so we can ensure that everything mixed together nicely. Here we go. Beautiful. Guinness, of course, is my favorite beer personally. So of course I love this recipe. It's got that darkness, the maltiness that a stout always has. And even if you don't like Guinness to drink, I mean, try this recipe because obviously it doesn't taste like beer, but it's got that richness, molassesy flavor. If you like any sort of molasses cookie, any sort of brown bread, this is perfect. So I'm going to mix that together. While we're whisking our wet ingredients here, my husband and I, we went to Ireland, 8 years ago now, this is 2016, went to the Guinness storehouse. So that's right in Dublin. Basically takes up a whole neighborhood block. It's amazing. And if you know anything about the history, I think Arthur Guinness took out a multiple 1,000-year lease on the place, among a lot of other amazing history about it. But there we did the tour. I think it's 4 or 5 levels, amazing in it. The way it goes is from, I think, chronological order, so it shows you how to make the beer, and then it shows like all the advertising through the decades, and then at the top, you are able to pour your very own pint of Guinness, the perfect pint, of course. So we actually have a certificate that says, Billy poured the perfect pint, Jessica poured the perfect pint. So long story short, the Guinness Storehouse is amazing. If you're ever in Dublin, give it a go. Just reminds me of this recipe and how delicious it is, and it transports us back to Ireland. So anytime we can do that without the plane ticket, I say do it. Perfect. All right, wet ingredients are in. So as I said before, the butter here, even though it's melted, it might kind of coagulate a bit, which is totally fine. It's all going to melt together. We're just going to take that off of our whisk. We're going to make a well in the middle. I always like making a well in the middle of quick breads because the main thing with quick breads is you just don't want to overmix the batter. So in this case, because there's no eggs, there's nothing raw, I find using our 2 hands as being the best utensil here. So in go the wet ingredients. And with our 2 hands, just going to mix it here. And we're going to get a little messy. That's completely fine. I always find when you use your hands to mix stuff too, just a little more special. I think it's kind of enhances the homemade experience. Okay. This is looking amazing. All right, excellent. We've got our batter here, got our buttered pan. What I'm going to do to avoid washing my hands yet another time, we're going to pour this in here. Let's try it like that. A little extra flour, it's totally fine. Right, in the pan it goes. Beautiful. I'm just going to spread that evenly with my hand. All right, beautiful. I want to make sure it's nice and even. When we put it in the oven, it's all going to evenly bake. And the last thing is just some of those quick oats that we use for the batter. I just like to use it on top too, so adds a nice little extra touch. Be generous with the topping here. Beautiful. Okay. For reference, that's about a 1/4 cup here if you want to measure it. All right. So then when this bakes, this will have a nice little crispy crunch on top. So I am there for anything where you've got a texture difference. So we're going to have the soft, warm, delicious bread and a nice little crunchy oat topping. Okay, beautiful. Just like that, our quick bread of a Guinness brown bread is going to go straight into the oven. It's going to be 425 degrees. Once we put it in, we're going to drop it right to 400. And what that does is when you start it at a higher temperature, it's going to cause some steam to have the bread rise a little bit, and then have it be at 400 the rest of the time. We'll just make sure it's evenly cooked. So, little baker tip there for you. Into the oven it goes for 40 to 45 minutes until a toothpick comes inside and is nice and clean. Right, our Guinness brown bread has come out of the oven. We have cooled it, sliced it, and put some Irish butter on it because, of course, Irish butter and Irish bread match made in heaven. And about this quick bread, it's going to be one of the easiest, most delicious that you've ever made. Even if you're not a fan of Guinness, it's just got that molasses flavor. It is a wonderful addition to your recipe collection and great with a cup of coffee or tea or a Guinness. I'm not here to judge. If you like this video, be sure to go up here for another recipe. We will see you at the next video. And this is Jessica from Spuds and Scones signing off. Have a great day. We'll see you at the next video.